Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Empowered by Women. I'm Crystal Jogarup, the founder of Empowered by Women and Book of Bijou. I really started this platform to create a community for women entrepreneurs to really genuinely connect. And I started doing these interviews because I want our audience and people that support these women to know the women behind the brand and not just, the surface level, what's on Instagram, what's on social media. I think everyone, all of these women that I've been talking to have such incredible stories to share, and I'm really excited to create a platform for that. So today I'm super excited to welcome Alena LeBlanc to our podcast. She is the founder of LeBlanc Label, her very own label. She's been in the fashion industry for several years now. She's designed for brands like Le Tote and Third Love, and she's branched off on her own and now is offering her own fashion styling and fashion design services. So obviously, I love fashion, so I'm super excited for this chat. Alena, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much, Crystal. I love what you're doing. And I think it's so important that you are creating this genuine connection with these wonderful women and showcasing who they are, not just their businesses. But I love that. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. It truly is something that's so fulfilling to me. So I'm just glad to have you here and to chat with me. So I'll give the floor to you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey in the fashion industry and how that kind of transformed into what it is now with you kind of doing your own thing?
Okay. So ever since I was a little girl, I always wanted to do fashion design. And I knew that was something I wanted to do, but I didn't see that as being actually a reality. I just thought it was like a dream job. And when you're little, you like playing dress up, and it was so fun for me. And I didn't realize the actual impact that clothing had on you when you got dressed and how you can transform and step into the shoes of the woman you want to be in any given day. And that's really carried through my entire life. So I never stopped feeling that way. When I went to college, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and I just got my AA. And then I ended up transferring to the Academy of Art University in San Francisco for women's wear fashion design. And it was there that I was like, okay, this is not easy. This is not an easy path. You barely sleep and you're working constantly. But in the end, I was being able to create these pieces that I knew women would feel confident in. And so I continued down that path. Once I graduated, I worked in the fashion tech industry, which was a lot different than many of my friends and peers in school, just because a typical fashion design house that you're working for, you're designing maybe one category for the entire brand. And for me, I loved being able to learn so much more than just design. I got to see the back end because it was tech, like a tech-led fashion company. I got to understand more about the customer and how they are using the items, the wares that they have. And I learned a lot more about the customer than just the product that we were producing. And I ended up working for Third Love and focusing on lingerie and fit. It's so important. It's not just you have to create lingerie that's really pretty. This is a functional garment, and fit is the most important factor in that. And so there I really learned about fit. And then I worked for a small design company, and it was based in the Bay Area. And I got to see the entire making of things. Like I was designing for them. I was also sewing garments. I was working with factories here in the Bay Area, San Francisco and Oakland. And then I went on to design for Le Tote. And Le Tote was a women's wear fashion subscription company. So like Rent the Runway, but we had our own private label brands. And I was able to work at all the different brands, all different aesthetics. And it was so much fun because every day felt so different. And we would have customers come in, we would learn about them to create product that better served them. Then in 2020, unfortunately, our company filed for bankruptcy and laid everyone off. And it was a really scary time because the pandemic, no one was hiring for designers. And I was just in a position where I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I've always used fashion as a way to express myself. And I saw the impact that it had on women's lives. So I wanted to work a lot closer and one on one with women to help them build personal styles that in the end become more intentional and more sustainable rather than just buying things and using them one time and getting rid of them. It's creating personal styles. So you have these pieces that feel really special to you and you can wear them over and over again. And I've really enjoyed creating a business. It's not easy at all, but I've made amazing connections and met amazing women, networking, meeting women like you. It's just been such a pleasure.
I have heard your story before, but every time you tell it, I love it. Well, first of all, side note, I also imagined myself in the fashion industry. Like when I was younger, that's what I thought I was going to do. I was going to be a fashion designer and dress
I love
and
that.
like create all of these amazing gowns. Didn't work out that way, but here you are doing it. So I'll live vicariously through you. But I love that you really are about creating an intentional wardrobe. And you've mentioned a couple times personal style. And it's not about following the latest trends or doing, all of that, like what other people are wearing. I think people absolutely underestimate the comfort and the fit aspect of fashion because it doesn't matter how trendy or how fabulous the dress might look on the hanger. If you don't feel good in it, like that shows to everybody. So I think that is so incredibly important. And again, with, people underestimating the power of fashion, I think especially with the pandemic and everyone teleworking, I've noticed that a few people, even though they're just going to work in the next room, they ended up adding that back into their routine just so they feel a different way because the clothes you put on your body absolutely changes, how you move throughout your day.
Oh, a
So
thousand
I
percent.
love what you're doing. Why don't you go ahead and give our listeners a little insight as to what you offer? Is it, are you personally shopping for everyone? I know it is really intentional. So are you just sticking with what they have already? What is it that you offer?
So I do as my base service, I do closet curations, and that's really working with what people have and then providing them a list of items that they can add to create more versatility in what they own. Because it's very rare that I ever go into wardrobe that they have all of the pieces they need. And I think that's a reason why women end up confused. They don't know what to wear, is because they don't have all of the right pieces to create these looks that they might see on Pinterest or see other people wearing and they don't know what that little thing is. So my main package that I really focus on is my fashion icon package, which is a 3-month package because style's an evolution and it's constantly changing as we are and we are growing every day. Our style is always shifting a bit. And what that means is I get to help people create a wardrobe that they feel really good in, that elevates them, that elevates their lives, that they get to step into the outfit of the woman they're meant to be. And that includes working in their closets with what they have. That includes shopping for additional pieces to really up level everything and creating looks during that 3-month period, which is the season. So I focus on seasons, but that's where you really see more transformation. And you get the most out of working with a personal stylist because you start to create a relationship and then we get to know each other and I am able to better help you and understand what your goals and desires are and help you get there.
So in terms of fashion design now, I know I've heard some of the things that you've done where you're taking very, sentimental pieces or things that people can't wear anymore and you kind of transform them. So tell us a little bit more about that kind of a design service.
So I did start off by doing redesigns with people, and it was really wonderful to take pieces because everybody holds a lot of emotional attachment to things, whether you realize it or not. Maybe someone special gave you something and you don't want to get rid of it. I never force people to get rid of things. So we try to look at things in a different light. So if you have a top that was your grandma's that you really love and you tried on, and I'm like, no, that doesn't that doesn't fit you, that doesn't really fit your goals, then it's nice to be able to reimagine pieces in a different way. So maybe we can change that shirt, maybe we can have it altered in some way that it fits you and your style. I started doing that. It's a little bit more rare that I do that now just because these pieces are really sentimental and there is no room for error And I haven't messed up anything so far, but it is a lot of pressure. So ideally, I do like to recommend like, oh yeah, you can bring this to a tailor to have something altered. And I think not even for just sentimental purposes, you can do that for a lot of items in your wardrobe to fit you and your body a lot better. So small tweaks make a really big difference.
Absolutely. And it goes back to that whole thing of like, if you have this favorite pair of jeans that used to fit you back in the day, maybe you've lost a little bit of weight or, your body's changed a little bit and it doesn't quite fit you as you used to. That doesn't mean you have to like get rid of it. Take it
Yeah.
to a tailor, take it to Alena. You can redesign it. But I do love the sentimental aspect because I think a lot of people don't even realize that that's an option and they'll be
Yeah.
holding on to all of these clothes and of course they don't want to get rid of it, but then it's just sitting there when they could actually have it more a part of their lives than it currently is. So I love that you offer that.
I think
Now on your
something that
website,
Oh,
go ahead.
sorry.
No, go
I
ahead.
was just going to say something that I think is really hard too. If you have all of these pieces in front of you and you can't wear them and they don't fit you, that's just creating more clutter and confusion every day. So if you want to keep these pieces, like say, oh, in 5 pounds, I can wear them, that's fine, but they don't need to be in your everyday closet because that's just going to be something that frustrates you or that you can't wear. And it's not really streamlining your process and saving you time and creating ease. So I think definitely taking those pieces out, if it's something special, you can even display it. But you don't want to just cram things in your closet that you're not wearing and that don't fit your body and don't feel good.
That's so important because I know there's been plenty of times where I've walked into my closet and I've been stressed out. And that's like one of the first things we're doing in the morning.
Yeah.
So for you to be able to kind of transform that stress into like a source of joy and something that's easy is so impactful. So that's amazing. So on your website, you mentioned creating a wardrobe that allows your clients to take on the world, not take from it. I know you've mentioned this in a previous podcast. Obviously, that line is like everything, but I love that. So, can you tell us a little bit more about what that means?
Yes. So for me, or during the pandemic, I really focused on the amount of waste that the fashion industry was creating. And that was a really big reason why I didn't want to keep designing just to design for a company if I didn't feel fully invested in their values and their mission and in their aesthetic, because there's so much product out in the world. And I think as consumers, we're just bombarded with it constantly. So I get to help women focus on being more intentional with their style. And what that does is overall, it creates a more sustainable wardrobe in the way that you are wearing all of the pieces in your wardrobe multiple times. They're not a one and done use. You are creating a wardrobe that represents you. So you're not skewed by, oh, I need to buy into this trend, or this is the hottest thing right now, so I have to have it. It's really focusing on what lights you up and what feels good. So you're not just buying to buy. Everything that you add is more intentional. Everything that you remove from your wardrobe is also more intentional. So overall, I don't try to push sustainability down anybody's throat, but I'm just showing them over time and through education the importance of creating a wardrobe that is more sustainable.
And that's what makes you so great as a stylist is that you aren't so heavily pushing your ideas or your opinions on someone else. You're kind of just letting them know, like, this is, my thought process. And it's kind of there in the back of their minds. And if they choose to go that route, that's great, but you're still there to assist in any way you can. So love that. What is your typical client?
My typical client is like female professionals and entrepreneurs who are really working face to face with clients because they need to show up and really embody who they're meant to be in the leadership role. They want to show up, they want to feel confident if they're coming on camera, if they're networking, when they're working one on one with clients. And it's really fun to be able to work with entrepreneurs and professionals who have other things going on in their lifestyle too. So they're traveling, they're doing photo shoots, and they're stepping in to another part of their personal development and growth. And it's amazing that I get to be a part of that because discovering your personal style is definitely a part of personal development. And I love being able to assist them in this process because they have so many things going on that if I can ease one part of their life and make it simpler and more fun and exciting, I'm really grateful that I get to help them do that.
What do you think is the importance of a business professional really being intentional about how they present themselves? Is it, more just for other people, like dress like a boss if you want people to think you're a boss, kind of thing? Like, what is the impact you think it has on business professionals? Oh my God, I can't talk today.
It's okay. I think it's not just on business professionals, it's on everyone. And clothing isn't just how you're perceived, it's also how you feel in your clothes. So think about when you put on sweats and you feel like a little schlumpy and a little less productive than if you were to put on something that you know fits you really good, that you feel powerful and confident in. And that really shows. And even if people don't think that their personal style or what they're wearing or how they're showing up is affecting how others are perceiving them, they're wrong. Like people actually make their first judgments of you within the first 7 seconds of seeing you. And that's huge. That's so quick. That's before you can even open your mouth. So you want to show up in a way that feels authentic to you, that feels elevated. I think it's just when you walk in a room, you want people to recognize you as who you're becoming and who you want to see. You don't want them to see you and say like, "Oh, this woman looks a little disheveled and I wouldn't really trust her." And how clothes fit affects that, the colors that you wear affects that. There's so much that plays into that. But when I'm working with people, I really want to step into how do they want to feel in their clothes. And I think that's the number one priority. And most of the time, almost every client that I work with say they want to feel confident. And confidence carries over in every aspect of your life. And clothing is a tool to create more confidence. And I think that's really beautiful.
I love that you said showing up as the person that you are becoming. And you specifically said becoming, like not just who you are. Maybe, we hope to be like this multi-million dollar brand one day, and we
Yes.
want to be CEO of that brand, and we want to show up as her. So even though we don't have that confidence just yet, or we don't have, we may not feel like we are as bold as that woman that we want to be, we can still present ourselves that way so that other people can have that impression of us. Again, I've always loved fashion, so I love dressing up, and I still work a day job. So I was always dressed up going to my day job. And just to prove your point, I ended up meeting someone else who, when we introduced each other, I told her that I was just like a technician. And she was like, "Oh, I thought you were like management. You were always like walking around all dressed up and blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "I will be management. That's future me."
Yes, I love that. I think it makes a huge role. I work with clients and they say, like, oh, I really want a promotion. And I think I'm not being taken seriously enough in the clothing that I have. And that's a very real thing. So for me, I'm working with them to really elevate their clothes to figure out what that looks like that's still authentic to them. So I want them to show up in a way that their bosses look at them and are like, okay, this woman is deserving of this position. She already fits the mold and she looks like that woman who is going to be in that spot. And when you start to dress like that, you really start to embody that. So I think it plays a huge role in your career, but just generally in your life.
Absolutely, yes. So that whole embodiment thing, what you're putting on your body, that's what you're going to start feeling on the inside, and you're going to start exuding to everyone around you. Now, I feel like there are still a lot of people that think that if you are to look professional, you have to stick with the very neutral colors, blacks, grays, whites, nudes. But what I love about you is that you always look on point, like you know what you're doing, you are on top of your game, but you are like bold and fierce and fun. And I love that. So, I mean, obviously, if you are in any kind of professional setting, like you can add color into your wardrobe and things like that. But what are your tips for, someone kind of trying to make their way in that direction with their professional wardrobe?
I love that. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Colors make me feel good, so I'm going to wear them. But I think that you're right. I think people have the notion that professional means black, navy, gray, when in reality, it can be more about the silhouettes that you wear. That's what makes it look professional. It can be about the fabrics. I think an easy way to start incorporating color into your wardrobe, if it's something very foreign to you, um, I love a good accessory. I know you know all about accessories too, but wearing something like a statement earring is a fun start. Wearing a bold color lip, like I love bright lipstick, but a great red lip, it's a very bold pop. And even if you want to just try that with a black suit, if it's in a very professional setting, you're going to feel good. You're going to feel powerful. Another great way is to incorporate it in your shoes or handbag. So maybe wearing a full monochromatic bright red look is not for you. That's okay. But sprinkling it in with your shoes, your handbag, your accessories is ways to add color and to get used to wearing it and feeling good in it.
I love that. Those are all such great tips. So, what about the people that don't want to expand into color? How can they kind of like zhuzh up
You
their
can still
blacks and
elevate.
grays?
Yes, you can
And
still elevate
yes,
your wardrobe, even if color isn't really your thing. And I think that's what I was saying too with being more professional. It's really focusing on different fabrics that your clothing are in, and then the different silhouettes. So right now, something I really love is like a wide leg relaxed trouser. And they're beautiful in neutral colors, they're beautiful in bold colors. It's just a very clean look that's very comfortable because everyone wants to be comfortable in their clothes. There is no one out here, there's no woman saying, I want to feel squished like a cased in hot dog when I go out the door. So, comfort is key in feeling confident. So, putting on a pair of like a nice, really great, relaxed, wide leg trouser, you look so put together and you look chic and you're comfortable. So, that's like win, win, win.
I can absolutely attest to that. I love a wide leg trouser. I back
Yes,
that up 100%.
they're the
So,
best.
So now I want to bring the conversation more towards you and more of your personal journey. First of all, you always just exude so much confidence, which I love. Like
Thank
anytime I
you.
see you on your IG stories or your social media or even in person, like you just have this energy that's incredible and it's contagious. But have you always been so confident and so I feel like so just sure of who you are?
Thank you. That's very kind. To be honest, sometimes I feel bad saying this because I know a lot of people don't have this, but I have the most supportive people surrounding me my entire life. And they've played such a huge role in molding me into who I am today. And I've always been instilled so much confidence in me as a child growing up. My brother and I both are like, we feel really confident now because we've had parents who have always been like, my dad would always tell us you were born to be great when we were little and growing up. And it's like these affirmations that really stick with you. And I have always felt pretty confident. I mean, obviously during middle school, when those were like bad years for everyone, that wasn't the most confident period. But I think owning who I am, my style, and really realizing what makes me feel good, and you're not really caring about as much what other people think of you rather than how you feel is really important. And I know that's really hard, especially nowadays when you're seeing so much, like social media has such a big role in a society shift. But also, it's like you get to see all these positive things too. And really taking those more into consideration and embodying that and feeling confident in who you are and what makes you unique. And I think everybody's so beautiful. And I'm so grateful that I get to help them see that in themselves.
I adore your family for you. I love that you had that, and I agree. Like it's kind of like bittersweet because not a lot of people do have that, but I'm so glad that you did have that. And the amazing thing is that you are becoming that person for other people that might not have had it. It honestly just makes me think about my daughters. I was thinking about them when you were talking, and what I try to instill in them, and I body positivity and like telling them that they have the potential to do anything. And I think that's the important, like that's one of the most important things in what I'm doing, is to try to be that role model for them and show them that they can do whatever they choose to do in life, as long as they go into it with a full heart and wanting to help other people. So I love
I
that
love that.
you have that. And I don't think you mentioned it yet, but I have heard about it in a different podcast where your boyfriend was making a comment to you kind of in your transition stage from your corporate job and so before you decided to take the leap into creating LeBlanc label. So tell us a little bit about that.
So, to be very honest, I was super depressed after everybody was laid off from my job. And I was just in a position where I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. And I was like, I broke down. I was just crying and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. No one's hiring for fashion designers. Like, I went to school for such a specific thing. And he's always like calm, cool, and collected, like all the time. So he like looks at me and he's like, you can do anything you want to do. And I'm like, no, I can't. But and it's like so hard when you're in it, you feel terrible. But he was like, you can literally do anything you want to do. And I started kind of playing and trying different things over the pandemic, like different sewing projects I started to do, or I started doing a little bit of carpentry and just playing and being creative. And it really unleashed so much inside of me that I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can start in little steps. It's like building trust in yourself too. So it's like, I can do this. I'm capable of this. I can do more. And then when I was starting my business, I was just like, okay, this is really scary, but if I can help people, it's worth it. And I really borrowed other people's faith in me during that time. So there was so many people who were so supportive of me and they're like, you've got this. And I was just like, I don't know, but I'm gonna do it anyway. But looking back, I had like told him that, or he heard it on a podcast I talked about. He was like, oh, it sounded so nice. I was just like, get it together. You can do whatever.
I love that. Well, I'm so glad he was there cheering you on. It is hard as an entrepreneur. And, even if you don't have someone like that, we need to be those people for ourselves, honestly. And that's kind of not that I don't have a supportive system, but like that's how been a big part of my whole mindset journey. Like I've been cheering myself on hard. Like,
Yes.
girl, you can do this, you can do anything. And we
Yes.
do have moments of doubt. And you've said yourself that you've been confident since you were a child, but you still have moments of doubt. And we really need to push through it and really own our power. And I love how, at the end of it, what really was kind of like the final push was the fact that you would be able to help people. And it
Yeah.
came back to a place of service and not, whether or not you truly believed in yourself or you were fully confident that you were going to be like so incredibly successful, but you just wanted to help people.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, as long as you're coming from a place of service, like that success will absolutely follow.
Great. And I
Ah, great
love that
story.
you said that about, I love that you're saying that about like having a community of people because like what you're creating is really powerful because I've realized that not everyone understands what it's like to start their own business. And it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. There's part times where you're just like, oh my God, I don't know how to do this. Literally, that happens to me every day. And then you just kind of figure it out or you lean on someone, you give somebody a call. That's what it's all about is like networking, making connections with people and the right people who are going to be supportive of you because I don't believe that there is competition. I think we gain so much more from collaboration and from learning from one another. And I love that about like having my own business. I'm alone most of the time, but I met the most amazing people and I can contact them if I need help with anything, which is an amazing feeling too.
Absolutely. Yes. Community over competition has been one of our values from the start, and I totally could not agree with you more. You need to be able to lean on people. Entrepreneurship is so lonely, and
Yes.
like we're always our harshest critics, right? So we think that everything is like happening to us and like we're terrible at everything, but other people are sharing in our struggle. So clearly, it's happened between the both of us and it's happening with everyone else that's listening. So know that you are not alone, whoever is listening out there. Um, Give us a tip for anyone that is kind of looking to make that transition from corporate careers to branching out and doing their own thing.
I don't know if this is really a tip necessarily. This is just like a heads up, a warning.
I love it.
But starting a business is the most intense course on personal development that you can ever do. You learn so much
Absolutely.
more about yourself than you would ever in a 9 to 5 role. And it can be very scary and very intimidating at times, but it's so 1000% worth it.
For those of you listening on the podcast, I've been nodding my head this whole time that she's talking because yes, yeah, absolutely agree. You are going to be tested on a daily basis. The
Yes.
universe is going to keep asking you, do you really want this? Are you sure? How bad do you want this? And you have to keep showing up and saying, yes, I want this. We're going to make it happen. Great tip slash warning. I love it. So this has been great. But before we end off, Alena, let everyone know where they can find you and all of your amazingness.
Yes. So you can check out my website, which is leblanclabel.com, LEBLANCLABEL.com, or you can also find me on Instagram. I'm very active and I try to give ways to use more of what you own and give style tips all the time. So my Instagram is leblanc_label.
First of all, LeBlanc label already sounds fancy, so I feel like you were just like set up for this, like since you were born, like this was your destiny. But everyone that's listening, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on our podcast platforms, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you show Alena some love, even if you don't need like fashion and styling advice. Show her some love on Instagram anyway, because her videos are just so much fun. But thank you again, Alena, for joining us today. I had so much fun chatting with you.
Thank you so much for having me. I loved this.
Oh, yes, soon.